Hey everyone, welcome to an off-meta podcast where we are definitely live.
Another one. Oh, live with a dog.
Great Tuesday. Thanks for having me when I'm not at work.
So who knew it would happen so quickly again, Capelli?
You know, the fates align.
I called Capelli's boss, said, hey, we need him. He said, oh, this is very important.
He needs to tell Adam how wrong he is. And they're like, oh, absolutely. I know that son of a...
Well, you're probably going to think you're telling Adam he's wrong and then tell me and Hayley that you just inadvertently disagree with us. So
I can't change what emotions I feel, you know, innately, even if last time we agreed way more than I expected.
Who knew you were a good storyteller is what that means, Capelli. Who knew?
Not me.
Literally no one.
Shall we go ahead and get started though straight away? Let's be snappy and into this one.
Let's just jump right in. People know what we're doing this time. It's me versus the ranking that was been given by Off Meta.
all right, well, not standing on ceremony. I'm supposed to read the first one, I believe. That's why nothing is happening.
That's right.
This is my fault. Here we go. Once per game at night, choose 2 players, but not yourself, you dope. You learn if they are the same alignment.
2 players? Wow.
You know it's 2 because that's how many fingers.
That's great for people who are just listening to this and they don't get to see the... No, that's too many. That's too many. There you go. You got it. No.
Squad members has put, oh, it must be Tuesday again into our game chat. Thanks, Andrew.
It is Tuesday, Andrew. You shut your face.
Y'all put this little character in the B tier. And initially when we came up with the idea of me debating things, I wanted to put Seamstress into S. But then I'm like, okay, you guys put it like you're looking at once per game rolls. And if I'm like, all right, if I got to compare it to the top of the crop, the artist, artist can do what Savant does if they really want it to. And then they can just do so much more. So I can't in good faith say Seamstress belongs in S. But I can say in good faith, Seamstress belongs in A. I have seen the Seamstress solve games. I have rarely seen the Seamstress be bluffed too believably, but when you've got an honest Seamstress, they find because they just cling to that. Whereas I feel like if you're bluffing Seamstress, you're like, all right, well, maybe I was poisoned, right, guys? Let's kill my neighbors. And you're like, shit, I'm next to my Fang Goo. I can't say that. I don't know. But if you got the Seamstress that's like, hey, I randomly called out these 2 people as being on different teams, and I said that before we found out that they're twins. I said that before anything else. Oh, suddenly I get a lot of social credibility. And you start, like my favorite thing, is not just finding the demon, it's building that world, it's crafting. Okay, if we've got a starting point to jump off, and what are we thinking here as far as the evil team's concerned? I'm using that Seamstress to be where I'm basing other sets of information on where things can go. Seamstress is a thing that brings people together. More often than not with experienced players, I see Seamstress using their ability on the first night just because I don't want to die. I could then become Fortox fodder. I could then be a bait to die at night if I tell people I haven't used my ability, or if I tell people I'm Sage and I do want to wait and use it, see what social reads I'm getting. First of all, that strategy usually goes poorly with Seamstress. You want to use your ability quickly, and I hate to say it for a once per game character. That meta is usually done because I'm definitely getting some sort of information out there. If I'm sitting next to an Odashi, the storyteller doesn't know anything about the game as far as what I should be doing one way or the other. I don't know. It's just, you kind of can meta around the storyteller. And if I'm saying that, it's true. And I think people can use that pretty effectively. Seamstress is A. It's A tier. It brings people together, which is my favorite thing in this game. And you're starting to craft them. You get trusted. If you got that person that people going to you for info, that's top stuff.
This game does bring people together. I will not dispute you on that, Capelli. But Seamstresses bring seams together.
Well, it can also push people apart, though, right? Let's not forget that. It can also push people apart. It can cause divisions. 3 people are now accusing each other of lying about something. You made the first ever argument I have ever heard in favor of using the Seamstress ability early that I agreed with. Congratulations. It's still a trash roll, but you made a great argument for why you should use your ability early. It's a really good point because the storyteller doesn't know what the shape of the world is yet for what information they should be giving. So the sooner you use it, the more chance you've got of finding out if you're poisoned or that. Makes it a lot of sense.
Whoever uses Seamstress to figure out if it's a Vortox game. So you get that information and you will find out if it's a Vortox or not. And then hey, I know which way I've been pushing, or I got a yes on those 2, and they've been talking a lot. And there's no grandma. There's no washerwoman for them to want to do that. Maybe I found an evil pair. You know, oh, I found the clockmaker now, and they've got this number, and we don't think
There's
it's a
a dreamer.
Vortox. Okay, dreamer. So one thing you can do, man.
Yeah.
But if you tell me, hey, I dream so and so, and I trust him, or they dream me, one of us dream each other, I'm like, great, dream me. Tell me what you get. I'll keep my mouth shut about what I am. You dream me. If you get me right, that's a circle of trust with the dreamer involved. Okay,
Yeah.
That's pretty solid.
So let me ask you a question. If you want to think about every single character in Blood on the Clocktower, every single one that is publicly available, your very first game happens and you pull out Seamstress. How happy are you?
Well, it's my very first game, so I'm just happy to be included.
Aww.
And I know exactly why you're saying that, because you can't defend it.
Okay, great example. It's Fish Bucket. I pull out Seamstress. I'm not like, whoa, I'm going to win the game. But I'm like, all right, I can start thinking of ways on these. I get the gears turning. I'm happy with Seamstress.
That's not an A reaction to a character.
That's not enthusiastic, yes, is it?
So even if we take it out of just ranking it against the other once per games, which is why I thought I'd give this to you on a silver platter, where you could have come back to me with some sort of enthusiasm for this character and you couldn't even do it.
I said I like it.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, all right.
That'd be okay.
Yeah, I guess I could be here. Yeah. That's like a reaction to a Wendy's. That's not a reaction to an A-tier character or an A-tier restaurant.
Seamstress, the Wendy's of Clocktower rules.
No, so in all seriousness, though, I can't remember exactly why we put it in. What do we put it? C? It should be C, but it's probably B. I'm pretty sure.
B.
I'm pretty sure you guys fought for it. And I think one of the things I remember saying is the Seamstress is one of those few characters that I still forget which one's the Seamstress and which one's the Chambermaid, because they both do nothing in Blood on the Clocktower.
How many hours of experience do you have with this game?
Few thousand.
We were trying to work out how many games I've run and played in, like the other day.
No
we gave up after like 400 or something.
All I'm saying is I would hope my storyteller would know the difference between the one with the scissors and the one with the broom.
It's a paintbrush, isn't it? No?
That is the artist.
Chambermaids don't clean rooms with a paintbrush.
It's a really slow one. It's a really slow chambermaid.
This artist is drunk.
I think he's just shitting on the artist again for you there, Tyler.
I'll take it. It's a 3-for-1 for me. You know, I'm happy with all of it.
He's taking on all comers.
Yeah.
I am going to make a half-hearted defense of the Seamstress.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's what I want.
A half-hearted defense of the Seamstress when Capelli's just been defending the Seamstress, or you mean a defense of where we put it?
I'm just between the two parties here. That's all.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You're off meta. He's coming at us as off meta. You are.
We are a team.
Listen, you can try to put a divide between me and my boys as much as you want. Blood is thicker than water, my friend.
I think the B was pretty fair at the time because we compared it to, like, we put the investigator in the B tier, I believe. We put the chef in the B tier, and I know you disagree with it, or maybe we put chef in A. I don't remember. The ones we put in the S tier for once per game were clockmaker and philosopher. Artist, I had to fight to get into the A. I think the artist is better than the seamstress by a pretty large margin. It was only because of, I think, Brittany's episode where it got moved into the tier where it got on the script on the S tier. So all that being said, I do think the seamstress, the reason when you're saying maybe it's not the most effective bluff in the world is because it does cause a stir if a minion comes out and goes, oh, these two people are on the same team. Right? That does create some things, but it almost gets reconciled pretty easily because, you know, maybe one of them gets executed and the other one is trusted. And it's like, well, okay, you mean it did something. It also makes you a target if those players ever come to trust each other. And so it doesn't have a lot of traction throughout the game. Its bluffability in terms of what it can do for the evil team and making it a bluff, you know, kind of makes it a little, just a notch below in terms of being a fun once per game ability to play and what it can do for the evil team. And I know that's not the context of everything, but that's part of it. I like the seamstress, but it is to your point about the smell test of what's your immediate reaction. It's like, yeah, okay.
I didn't pull out the juggler, so this is a win.
To that point, what would you feel if this was your first game of Clocktower and you pulled out this roll? My first game of S&V was the juggler, and I did pull it out, and I was just confused. I was just, what am I even going to do with it? I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. I tell everybody, and then they kill me? You know, but then somebody who'd play the game, they were all bluffing juggler, and I was like, oh. If the conversation is not seamstress should be an S, it doesn't belong on Crème De La Crème anyhow.
So you guys are just tunnel visioning on this baby script of yours. I'm just here to talk about tier lists.
We can.
That's the whole point of the tiers.
I am going to say that I actually disagree with you, Ty, that I do think seamstress is a good evil bluff. Maybe Artiste is better because you can bluff as the Seamstress as the Otis. Yeah, Seamstress is still a great buff because if you can create that level for a minion, not a demon. For a demon, it's terrible, but for a minion, it's a decent bluff.
I do believe I said that. I think I did say for a minion, it's okay.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's better than just okay, is what I'm saying, Ty.
Right, fair enough.
Okay, I think it's a terrible bluff for a demon, but for a minion, it's a pretty A tier plus bluff for a minion because you can create a little bit of distrust. You can try and get a couple of people killed, which might be all you want to do if you're the Baron, you know?
I mean, yes, if you are a minion who has a lot of latitude anyway, I guess it's okay. You've drawn a lot of fire. That's all I was getting at.
Tyler, do you think Seamstress belongs in A? Have I convinced you of that? The hesitation, the silence says more than your words ever could.
So some of your argument was predicated on like you could get a good snipe, and that there is value in that. I think the idea that you could, like, if you're acting on night one, you go bam, I get this thing. You either know, most likely, unless it's a Legion game, which I think we've put Seamstress on a fair amount of times, Legion scripts, you're gonna think, oh, if these two people on the same team, they're probably both on the good team, and then they align with me. If they're both, if you did manage to snipe, you know, a good chunk of the evil team, I think that can be useful if that somehow becomes evident in a way. So yeah, sure. A.
Got one. What I like about Seamstress, but it gives that player something to do on the first day. Right? It's like a dreamer wants to go talk to the person they dream. Juggler wants to go talk to as many people as they want. Clockmaker is watching, okay, who with pre my number which is going to talk. Juggler or Seamstress is, I'm watching these two players. It's an investigator that can help bring good together when in the hands of good. Investigator is super strong, but I think the control that, like, the fact that investigator can be such a potent evil bluff as well is also super solid. But with Seamstress, it's like, oh, evil was bluffing it, and they were watching those two players. Well, what did they get? You know, there's a lot more layers that, socially speaking, rather than mechanically, and that's why I like the Seamstress more than an investigator, so to speak.
And the Seamstress picked who they wanted to talk to, right? Or who they wanted to focus on. Whereas the investigator, that was kind of information that was assigned to them. And so your mileage may vary as far as that goes, but I think players more than likely are going to want agency if they can get it. Oh, the storyteller made a choice. Sorry.
Well, the storyteller had some fun. That son of a bitch.
What an asshole.
What an asshole.
All right.
I don't think I've convinced either of these crazy New Englanders.
Old Englanders, yeah.
To even consider Seamstress up top in A. So
It's not the top.
I think if you put it on Trouble Brewing, then Haley might be like, oh, S tier.
That's great.
S tier.
It's the only one string ability that you get to wake up. It's great.
You've convinced me it's a B+.
B+. There you go.
All right, so I got one of you to A, one of you B+, and that's the only opinions I really care about. So we're going to call it a solid A- B+. We'll call it somewhere in there. I'm going to chalk this down as a little personal win for Capelli.
That's as close as you're getting to a win today, Capelli. So
I think that was my weakest argument I had that we have coming up.
Let's see. Shall we move on then to Savant? Each day you may visit the storyteller to learn two things in private. One is true and one is false.
Oh, he did it. He did it so well.
What a read. What a good read.
Hey, are you a professional audiobook narrator? That was awesome.
Yeah, that's my name. Professional audiobook narrator.
My parents had very specific goals for my future when I was born. y'all put this at a B. I'm pretty sure you had to convince Adam not to put it at a C.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's definitely an A tier character. My biggest point for Savant. It's just super fun. If you're the storyteller, which is, more often than not where I'm coming at when I'm looking at these characters, is what can I do to play into evil a little bit, or what can I do to clue in good? Like if I've got evil that's got a really clever play, but they haven't really earned it yet. You know what I mean? Like it's not like they've convinced a lot of people and then now it's like, all right, well, you were doing well because you were playing well. I'm going to give these statements to screw you over. It's like, no, evil is starting to craft this. And I know that the Savant is talking to this evil person, so I can kind of like let that evil person be like, that doesn't sound true. It's probably this other one. And give players all around the table a chance to socially push in wherever the Savant wants to go. I think it is a super fun and dangerous bluff. I like how your argument with the Tea Lady is like, if I'm bluffing Tea Lady, if I can get 2 kills and not on the demon, that's great. Savant can do that in spades. Savant sometimes can be ambiguous enough that it's, can it solve games? Sure. Can it totally destroy games for good? Depending on the storyteller, yeah. And that, when you're looking at S and V, that unfortunately is the case with a lot of decisions that get made. Is it effective on its script? Yes. Is it effective in customs? As long as you have other things that are visiting the storyteller? Yes. Is it fun to play? Hell yes. Is it fun to play against when you're evil? Unless your storyteller's throwing you down a river. Yeah. And is it bluffable by evil? Yes, it definitely is. And if you're a new player looking to bluff Savant, go to your storyteller and say, hey, I want to bluff Savant. What sort of statements might you give me? And most storytellers are going to give you stuff anyways. Just to be like, hey, here's some examples of what I would do. So people say, oh, the storyteller would never sound like that. F you.
What an end to that.
My defense is f you. Yes, I believe that's it.
He didn't do it. He didn't murder that man. He's really good.
Everybody applauds. Oh, good show. Good show. Yeah.
All right, you naysayers. Adam's already getting ready to go. All right.
I was going to say, go on, Adam.
No. I want to sit back. I talked a lot on the last one. I talked a lot on the last one. Why don't you two start agreeing with him, and then I'll come in at the end and tell you why you were wrong.
So, as somebody who said I think it's an A at the time, I think the counter argument to what you laid out, Capelli, is the variance in storytellers. And I know that's not fair to the role, but that is kind of the way it can go sometimes, right? So good Savant information from a storyteller with a good hand at it doesn't unbalance the game in a way that makes it unfun for the evil team, creates a puzzle within a puzzle that makes people have a good time. What I found in running the Savant in different variations and in settings where it's not like S&V, and I know this is not exactly the context, but it is something that I noticed. Some people want to play Savant as like a public-facing role almost, where they put all their pieces in the middle. That's valid. That's a thing that people can do. In person, you probably need to simplify the Savant information a little bit because it's too much to hold in someone's head. If they've got 4 days of Savant information and I'm trying to sort out what's what, that can be pretty difficult. Bluffability, I love bluffing the Savant as evil because I've story told Savant. It makes you better at making Savant statements. So I think if you ever want to bluff Savant, you should probably have story told some games with that role in it and given that information so that you can give something that is going to sound, and obviously go to the storyteller and be like, does this sound like something you'd say? That is a great conversation to have. I think anything that lets people go and talk to the storyteller and encourages them to do it, I think that's good. Logistically, it can be difficult if you got a lot of roles that are trying to line up and talk to the storyteller. Slows down the game a little bit, but that's the way it goes. I don't know if I'm supporting you or talking against you. I thought it was an A, but those were the things that I know that Adam is going to load up with in a second here, is the variance that comes along with it.
You guys consider yourselves good storytellers?
No, I do not. I don't consider Tyler a good storyteller, no.
I do not consider myself a good storyteller.
Thanks, Adam.
You're looking at putting tiering these characters, put them in Crème De La Crème, and you're going to be running those games, and you're like, nah, bad storytellers make this a bad character. Just like what, you can be consistent.
It's not bad storytellers either, though. Like, you want it to be fun for your players too. And I think that as a player, picking out the Savant and having to track all of that information is just way too much. So in that, it's like, to refer it to other board games, it's like those deeply crunchy economic Euro games. For some people, that is the best time that they're going to have. But for so many people, it's like the freaking meme with all of the mathematical symbols around your head. It's like, what is... I can't figure this out, so I'm just going to piece out of this role. I've seen that too many times with the Savant.
Yep, I say you've got the difference here between Hayley and I, who have probably played and run Savant more in person, as opposed to you two that have run it more online. It would be my guess.
Yeah.
And I think there is a big difference between what information you can give people in person versus what you can give online. Everything else Tyler said is 100% what I was going to cover. What I will say about the Savant, if I was to ask someone else to do the tier ranking, if they put the Savant in S, A, B, or C, I'd be like, I agree. The Savant can go in any one of those 4 in the right hands. In the right hands, it can be in any one of those. In the right game, it can be any one of those. It's unlike Town Crier. I don't think there are many games where the Town Crier is great. I think there are lots of games out there where the Savant is an S tier game. I think there are lots of times where I've seen the Savant ruin a game completely because of the information the storyteller's given. Not great in new storytellers' hands. Too fluid in the information you can get. Even from experienced storytellers can fuck it up. Like I've seen experienced storytellers fuck up the information they give and ruin a game.
When you watch back your own games that you're on, I get it.
That's right. God, I didn't give Capelli good enough information.
Yeah, I mean, your point about not enjoying Savant because that's just not how you like to approach your info, totally valid.
Well, no, I enjoy it, but
Consistency as the thing I asked from you three, and one of you is giving it to me.
One
One of you is giving it to me.
It's not about me personally. I'm trying to look at all of these roles in an objective way, for the most part, apart from grandmas. When you're storytelling in person, especially, your players are largely an unknown entity. And throwing a savant at somebody that just doesn't mesh with that is seriously, it's like putting them in front of Twilight Imperium 4 and saying, right, this game's going to take us 8 hours to play. You down? Cool. You had lunch plans? Tough.
Not anymore, you know. Your lunch plans are for galactic conquest.
I thought this was the one I was going to have to fight on. Look at it. Tyler did all my excuses and reasons for me, and Hayley came up with ones I hadn't even thought of. I'm done. Peace out. Call me tomorrow. I don't care about the other two.
In the context of the way that we will be playing Crème De La Crème, most likely, I think it's something that we can the players know the role. We can manage information. They have ways to track that stuff. And so I think that elevates the role in that sense. When we talked about a role that we're going to talk about now, we're talking about things that are iconically Clocktower. And the Savant, I think, maybe for Steven and for some other players, is a pretty iconically Clocktower role because it can do things. It can put information out in there other roles can't. So if that's something that interests you, if your group likes those puzzles within puzzles, then I think it can be a very, very beloved role, and I would elevate it for that particular group and that particular script.
Yeah, nothing else in this game does what Savant does.
100% agree.
The way that the information is possessed. And I can't say that bad storytellers or even overly complicated storytellers can't use it to make games But I just think what Savant brings to a script, brings to a game, whether it's bluffed, poisoned, sober, vortoxed, whatever, it's my go-to point stance here is just going to be, it's just fun. If you want to take your info and just kind of like try to boil it down, or just try to bring it to someone else, like, hey, can you help me with this? Because this is just not how I want to approach this. Like, let's roll swap info. You think about my info and I think about your info, and let's leave it at that. You can do that. Like, that's again why I don't think it's S tier, but that's why I think it's still A.
Like I said, I could put it in S, A, B, or C, right? It all depends on the storyteller's hands and then the game's hands.
You guys heard it here. Adam says A. Thanks, buddy.
I would not have any issue right now with Savant going in A.
If John G was running it, he'd be like, oh my goodness, what is this thing?
Yeah.
What is this delicacy that I am in front of right now?
Yeah.
But that's because John G knows how to run games in person. That's where John G does stuff. He doesn't play them online. It's a different experience. It's a completely different experience running online. Having Savant played online versus having Savant played in person.
So I play no notes when I play online, and I don't go back and refer to notes when people put them in chat. Now they're on a lot of the servers, they're auto delete anyway. One of the things I find unfun is if the storyteller has made the Savant information ultimately frame you. Right, so I'm the living good. There's a Savant with 4 days of Savant information. All the Savant information makes me look evil. Right, so that's an unfun experience. It may be fun for the Savant. It wasn't fun when they lost, but that's a storyteller thing too. Because storyteller information, are they going to try to railroad the group think into framing a specific person? And that can be very good for the evil team, and that makes the Savant less valuable for the good team if they're being used in that way. Not even poisoned, not drunk, just the information that they get is used to kind of frame other people.
All right, so I've got Tyler who agrees with me. Adam said he put it in A. Hayley, doesn't sound like you're budging.
I agree with Adam in that it can go anywhere depending on who's playing. No,
it's unanimous. A tier.
It's unanimous.
If it's this group, I'd say A, right? But the problem is we're not creating a script and we're not judging these characters just on this group, despite what you're saying, Capelli. We're judging it on the wider experience. And I remember when I started playing on the unofficial server, S&V, so many fucking storytellers did not know how to run Savant info that made me go, Savant can't be an A or an S because of that, to be honest, Capelli. But I will go ahead and say the difference between now and back when we first started playing online, there is so much content online for you to be able to go and watch how to run a Savant. Ignore the games Capelli ran it on, but there is so much other content out there that you can go and watch on how to do it. And I would recommend, and straight up honestly, even some of Capelli's stuff was okay. Even like I would recommend if you
this is a character growth arc right here, folks.
If you haven't run Savant, go and watch some of those games and see how the other storytellers did it.
Yeah, I love having moved on from running the Sunday stream on TPI and watching our new folks over there running it. Whenever I do get to check in and just Even the times when I paired up with Kohav to run games, just the complete dynamic, how she runs games so differently, or watching them do Sunday streams now and see how they run things like Savant. It's just like, not at all how I would have done it. Still super cool. Still love to see it, because I just wouldn't have thought of doing it that way.
Co-storytelling with people who are running Savant, it was like I think I co-story told a game with Fran and Kohav, but they would be coming up with Savant information, and I'd be like, "What about this?" I'd be like, "Oh, you know." So it does. If you get that ability to, you know, kind of work with another storyteller and think out things that are interesting and create different worlds in the game, I think that's a lot of fun. I think the next role is what we should talk about now.
I think I can see it coming.
You can see it coming because it's
a
the
bird.
fortune teller.
Raven. Oh.
Each night, choose 2 players. You learn if either is a demon. There is a good player that registers as a demon to you. That's the fortune teller. Take it away, Capelli.
You said that's an S tier.
Oh, yeah.
Heck yeah. You are going to have a hard time pulling me down off of that perch, my friend.
Yeah, all right, done. Have been fortune teller, seen fortune teller run where they will get 3 S's in a row on 6 different people, because you hit the recluse, you hit the red herring, you hit the demon. Oh, look, 3 of them are alive in Final Four. All right, your info's kind of useless. Evil bluffing as fortune teller makes me never want to trust fortune teller. A single poison, 1 poison on a fortune teller can negate the vast majority of its information. It's like, it's not consistent with what it's supposed to do. Like, can it get lucky? Sure, absolutely. And I don't think fortune teller by any means is a C tier character. It's good. When I pull fortune teller out, I'm like, oh, all right, cool. The fortune teller, not so much because I get to use that ability, but because I'm one of the few consistent pieces of information in that game of Trouble Brewing. And therefore, that means I will be put into circles whether people want me to or not. And that's just kind of like my play style. That's what I like to do. But as far as what it does, as far as getting information, it's not consistent. The red herring is a great mechanical tool. It makes the character, you know, completely unique and shine. I would say it is the telltale good character of Trouble Brewing, the telltale townsfolk of Trouble Brewing. Would I rather be an empath or a fortune teller? I'm going to prefer to be an empath every single time.
It's so funny to hear you say that, because your reaction to if I pull it out of the bag, it was like, okay, yeah, which was way more enthusiastic than your reaction to pulling a seamstress out of the bag, and yet you want to knock it down?
Because it's not so much what information I'm getting, but the social sway I can put into the game.
But yeah, it's fun, right? It's so fun to play.
So let's be clear, right? If we talk about that, 1 correct poisoning can f up a clockmaker. 1 fucking recluse in the game can f up a clockmaker. Everything you've just argued about there, any of those things can also f up the empath. Like, all of those things can mess with it, like so many characters out there.
Yeah, but except empath, I know who I'm sitting next to. So if I'm sitting next to somebody and I get poisoned and that number changes, now I can just start looking at, did I play in a way that makes me look poisoned? Am I the drunk? And I can start analyzing that. If I'm fortune telling, I just pick 2 different people. What do I do with that?
Pick the same people and check your info a different night.
But I socially trust them. You know, I don't trust that person's claim across the circle who I didn't pick last time. So now I'm going to do it. Whereas empath, I don't need to think about this. Oh, now I got a 1. 9 of them are claiming recluse. Well, I'm going to keep quiet. Next night I got a 0. I probably got sniped, and since I didn't react to that change of information, they're leaving me alone because they don't think I'm an empath.
So we've gone from you like the Savant because it gives you a puzzle to solve to I don't want to play a fortune teller because I would rather play
it's a puzzle you can track.
an empath because that's easier and I don't have to think about it. Capelli, you talk to us about consistency. Come on, bro.
Where's your player agency with empath compared to fortune teller?
Couldn't you just pick your living neighbors each night? I think you, as a fortune teller.
There you go.
Right?
It's a
so
better artiste. Oh, no, wait, sorry. It's a better empath. That's the one.
Nah, I don't think it's a better empath. There's been so much made of people making like these like Sherlock Holmes like solves where they burst in the room and they go, this was this and that was that and this is what happened then and this is what happened here and this is and thus by deduction this is the demon. That has like stuck in people's heads to the point where that's how they want to play. And some people are capable of that and some people aren't. And I think you're capable of that, Cap.
So when I'm saying I want to build worlds, I'm not talking about doing that.
If I'm misconstruing what you're saying, then it's not related.
Talking about this, not what empath really does. Empath says I can make pairings between people. I can make, whether they're good or evil. You know, okay, I've got zeros and my neighbor was, you know, washerwoman or librarian, or I got one and they were seen as by the investigator. Like, you start tying things together.
But it doesn't account for the fact that sometimes evils will deliberately take adversarial relationships with their other evils because of that very thing that you're describing. Oh, these people seem to be aligned. I'm not aligned with them. I try to get them killed 3 times now. Y'all won't vote on it. It is something that can be subverted. That's not the case that Adam and Hayley are going to make for the fortune teller, but I know that I'm in a subtopic here, and we put the empath at S tier for the record. So to me, there's a bit of, if you think you'd rather be the empath than the fortune teller, all right, then that's picking I like chocolate cake versus buttercream frosting, I guess. I mean, in terms of how we ranked them. But the empath gets discredited all the time too, just like the fortune teller. Thus the phrase, there are no empaths. Empaths aren't real, that kind of thing. Or imp path. So, you know, all that to be said is the biggest problem with the fortune teller, which is also the reason we ended up putting it on S tier, that makes it so iconic, is the red herring is what makes it Clocktower. Here's your inputted information. The red herring makes the game more interesting and makes the role more interesting. Part of why we put it where we did, in addition to its effectiveness at finding demons, which obviously can be subverted with the demon that's on the native script, the imp jump. So, okay, well, now it can find the new demon too, right? Makes it effective in a Scarlet Woman game and an imp jumping game. But yeah, the recluse can mess with it, and the red herring is there to mess with it too. But I think that's what makes it Clocktower.
I don't have to say anything again. This is great. I'm just gonna leave and let you guys do this one.
Too. I'd love to see you go.
Just because that ass. That's all it is.
Well, I just want to add one more thing, Capelli. You've had your moment. I'm going to do mine now. So the one thing that hasn't been said, we did talk about it on the stream, I believe, is the excitement when you see certain characters for the first time and go, wow. There's a lot of them on TB. Slayer, Virgin, Fortune Teller's another one. Like, I get to search every night and try and find the demon. Fuck yeah. That's completely different to, oh, I'm the washerwoman. I know one of these people gets to do something cool. Completely different. It is an exciting role to pull out in almost any game. At what game would you not be like, this is a good role to pull out? I pulled out a good role here. I've pulled out something that can help us no matter what script we're on. Any script, Legion script, fucking Leviathan game. It can help on any script it's on.
I mean, I can't say you're wrong. You know, it's a fun character. You know, I'm not gonna say that like I hate being the fortune teller. It's just there's other things I prefer to be in TB, and for that reason alone, and the fact that there's so much ambiguity with my information, I just don't think it belongs in S.
The whole point of Clocktower is that there is ambiguity in everything. Like, there is no one role that is safe from the ambiguity. Not one.
But I think the ambiguity hitting the fortune teller is going to do more harm to the puzzle for good team than something else. I mean, you guys haven't really given me much of a way to convince me to think that this belongs in S tier.
I don't think we have any information that we can give to you, Capelli, that you don't already know about Fortune Teller that would make you change your mind, right? It is a great role for new players. It's a great role for experienced players. It's got mechanical failures on itself, which is great. It gives storyteller urgency with the red herring. It gives the storyteller urgency as well with the recluse. Do I even want to make it ping against the recluse? How bad is good doing right now? Do I need to throw them further onto the bus by letting it ping off the recluse? It gives storyteller agency. It's a great bluff by saying these people are the demon. It's a great bluff for minions and demons. It's got no issue with either of those. There is nothing with the fortune teller that makes me go, oh, this shouldn't be S. And that's the problem that I've got. Even your argument, like, you're right, its mechanical information can be wrong, but I think as Tyler said, that's actually why we put it in S, because that mechanical information is normally down to the storyteller's choices.
In the World Cup game that we ran, this might convince you, Cap. Travis, so handsome. Just so handsome. Played the fortune teller, and it was a Vortox game, and I thought it was fun because it didn't tip him off that it was a Vortox game because he picked his red herring on the first night. So the first night he picks 2 players, gets a no, right? That feels like, oh, maybe we're in a different kind of demon game. And then, but he did eventually discover the demon. It came down to whether or not people trusted him, and obviously they did. But he had the read on the demon, and everybody voted on. I think it was Andrew was the Vortox.
Mm-hmm.
How did you manage red herring in a Vortox game?
That it acts like the same as the demon, so therefore you would get the reverse information.
I know some people who run it otherwise. I probably usually run it the same way. I just think there's no clear cut way of what you do with the Vortox in red herring because it's technically still false information.
Yeah.
But you're also looking at a completely different demon. You're not looking at the imp there.
But part of the criteria is on a custom.
Listen, I'm not here to say fortune teller is not a fun character.
So you think it's A? Is that what you're saying?
I think you guys have talked me from a B to an A for sure.
There we go.
What a B!
Hey, we gonna win. We gonna win.
Started off by saying I think it belongs in B. That's the first
Did
thing
you?
I said.
I
Yes.
guess I just tuned you out.
Hear what you want to hear, I guess, Hayley. I don't know.
Wow.
All right, Cap, you want to read? We got some more controversy ahead of us because it's time to read the.
All right. This is the character that started this whole 2-episode series. Goddamn juggler. On your first day, publicly guess up to 5 players' characters. That night, you learn how many you got correct.
I can't wait to hear this, Caps. I really can't. Like, I long for the day someone gives an argument for juggler that makes me go, yeah, that's anything other than absolute, complete, and unfucking trash. So let's do it. Let's. Your bar isn't trying to talk me up to A or S. Your bar is trying to talk me up to C because it should not be in the game, basically. So let's do it, Caps.
What's wrong with you? Who hurt you as a child? So we're going to go back to a little line that I've used for several of these characters, which is that juggler brings people into a trust circle, or it can narrow down worlds exceptionally well. Not to mention, it's a fun as hell bluff to play. You know, any claims you get from people, they're like, oh, I'm the juggler. What are you? Same thing with like a gambler that you can do. All right. I mean, I've run games, I've been jugglers, and I'm like, hey, I got a 3 last night, and I juggled 4 of y'all, and I juggled 2 of you. It's the same thing because you didn't want to tell me which ones you were. I now have 4 people I trust, maybe even. That, depending on your player count, is practically half the game of people who I trust. You put that in anything but a Vortox, or even in a Vortox game, I got a 0. All of them say, oh, well, yeah, we all lied to you. Say, okay, well, out of everyone I juggled, I know one of them is definitely evil. There's so many different layers of what you can do to it. All right, all you got to do is live through to the second day. I see jugglers more often than not do successfully. If I find a minion before they talk to a demon and know what kind of demon it is or get any demon bluffs, I can catch them out really easily, very fast. I can figure out what the demon is if I really want to. If I want to stay quiet, oh, I juggle myself as the juggler, or I juggle so many people as the Vortox. You can do that too if you just want to be a Vortox checker. If you're Adam, you can just become Vortox bait if that's how you want to see it. There's so many things you can do. But I see jugglers often get trusted until there's good reason not to trust them.
Who the f*** are you playing games with, Cap, that's f***ing trust a juggler? I don't trust a juggler. I don't trust a gossip. I don't trust a gambler until they die. Until the gambler dies, guessing me wrong, until the gossip manages to kill someone, and the f***ing juggler's got no way of me ever trusting them. So even if I compare them against those other 3 that rolls out there that want to find out who I am for some benefit to good, a juggler is the least of them likely to ever be trusted by me.
Maybe I'm just not a naturally hateful person.
I am though, and we have to account for every player in Clocktower, Capelli. So
it sounds like that's an ironic statement coming from you saying juggler doesn't even belong on the script.
Not even on the script in this game. Like there is no purpose of a juggler. You're telling me that you go into games often. You're telling me it's a good enough claim to just claim juggler, and 3 or 4 people are going to truthfully tell you their fucking role? Is that what you're trying to tell me? No, yeah. Come on. No way. Who are these people? I would like to play a game with them, please.
The people we play on TPI stream with all the time.
I would like to play a game with these people. I've never seen the.
You
I've
do.
Never seen.
You do.
Never seen it. I've never seen it. I need to.
Very much.
You guys talk about the
how
juggler.
often do you run the juggler? The way
I'm going to say I need to run it more often because it's just pointless.
Next time you claim to juggle anything, I'm just going to walk up to you and be like, I fucking hate you.
And I don't know if you've ever noticed, even when we're playing SMV or jugglers on script, I don't fake juggle. The only fake juggler on the base, these 5 people are the Vortox.
You get like 4 people to make good solid juggle picks, and I don't juggle. You know what I'm saying to myself? I'm fucking living to the next day. I don't care. One of these juggler claims is going to die. Because sometimes that's what you want. If I'm a sage or whatever, like if I want to protect that juggle, if I want to get trusted, and I want to have at least a pair that I trust between, you can kind of tie this back with the seamstress as well. And maybe it's just how it speaks differently from how I approach the game versus how you approach the game. Mr. Gambler who claims bullshit and made one real gamble the whole goddamn game. It's just not your character.
I'm sorry. Did I not win that game? with my bullshit gambles.
You trusted your social reads, and I will have said before, and I'll say again, is a more potent thing in this game than any character you can give me. And I think that's why I like jugglers, because it can revolve heavily around day one social claims or a philosopher who turns into a juggler.
I hope I never pull the juggler token. I never have. I never
You
want to
two
say
are
the
made
words
for each other.
I
At least we can
juggle.
say
Yeah,
that, right?
heck yeah, we are.
Jeez,
I really truly hope I never ever have to play a juggler. I just treat that everything that most people say on the first day is absolute bullshit. Truly, people can say whatever they want. As the game unfolds, then I might start to trust people. But the first day, no, thank you.
I usually tell the truth on days 1 and 2.
Really?
Someone has to. All right.
No, they
Not
don't.
everyone can be a goddamn Mr. or Mrs. Birch, lie to everybody to the whole goddamn game. All right.
I don't lie to people. I just don't trust things that anybody else says. I usually choose to trust one person on day 1, and I will tell them the explicit truth, and that is it.
Trust me. Trust me. You should trust me.
Look at this face.
No.
Would you trust me? Yeah.
Oh,
No, I don't know
man,
what to say. I don't know what to say, Cap. I think I said it last time when we were talking about these to begin with. I want to see a time where as someone trusts a juggler, truth really comes out there and it makes a difference to a game. I haven't seen it, but I guess the New York group's different, right? Like every group has their own meta and every group has their own way of playing things. And in the New York group, the juggler just isn't effective. I feel, and I've said this before, every character in the game has a use, and every character in the game is going to have a chance where they are the absolute meta character to be at that moment in time until evil starts fucking them over again. I want to see those times where the juggler dominates a game that isn't because the storyteller gave them overpowerful information. Not talk about any specific game recently.
But to your point, that's a mechanical possible outcome from the juggler, right? So even if you want to see every role have its time in the sun, then you have to allow for that type of info to be given to a juggler in that circle. Like all of those things lined up, they got the information that they did. It blew up in the game. That was an instance where the juggler did exactly what you said you wanted to see it happen. And now you're saying, but it didn't count.
It didn't count, Ty.
I mean, look, would it be the information I would have given? No. But does that mean it didn't count? Of course it counts.
That's like saying to me the Savant should be S tier because the storyteller told them who the demon was on day 1.
Ooh, I get behind that.
No, you shouldn't be doing that as the Savant, and you shouldn't be doing
I understand.
Like, no.
All I'm saying is that you got what you asked for and you didn't like. So that's all I mean. To your play style, the juggler doesn't work. I think it does work for other people's play styles.
Agreed.
It's not my favorite role. But that's why I didn't fight for it to come off the C tier. It would have gotten some like provisional B or something because they'd have been like, you're stupid, but okay, we want you to come back, so we'll give it a B.
It's true.
I will. Here's one thing I would say, Cap. If you told me tomorrow that on S&V they replaced the juggler with the pixie, I would cheer. I would literally go, yes!
Putting the pixie on a script, so I have to agree with you. Pixie is S tier stuff.
I mean, I know it's not a conversation about experimental roles, but like if you told me they took this role off and they given, because there's so much madness on S&V anyway, it's not about comparing. I guess it is kind of about it, but it's just saying like if you told me there's a role out there that we can slot in place of it, I wouldn't. I don't feel like it would bother me. I don't think it would bother me at all.
It wouldn't be S&V unless you had 10 juggles on day 1. Like I can't imagine how you can say like
that's fair.
Take that away from me. No, I can't.
Juggler gossip cult leader. That's everybody's. I will say that's everybody's favorite script that we ever did.
Whispers are closed, and 10 minutes later, nominations will open because everyone has to give their meme gossips and juggles. And
yeah, we hate those players
today. Hate kids.
I
with their
think
memes.
I think Capelli, we just have very different play styles. I think you're a puzzle solver, and I'm just going in for the fun.
Sounds like it, man. It's a good thing y'all didn't start this channel with me involved because I would have ruined it. I would have ruined it. I'm like, y'all trying to have this kind of fun with it? Just no that.
Well, that's why luckily for you, Tyler runs most of the games then.
I have to hope I had at least some positive impact on my boy over our year on Sundays. At least 50 nights together. I think exactly. More than 50 nights together. We ran.
Yeah.
That's you guys wouldn't understand. It's not like marriage. It's something else.
I'm not sure that we understand marriage as it is anyway.
Yeah, I've heard the way you two talk to each other.
But it works. I've never talked to anybody the way that they talk to each other. And then they're all like, oh, we should break up. Why? Because we haven't had a fight yet. What the does that mean? We'll have a fight now. Let's have a fight right now. But how stupid this is. The reason I think we're not at like loggerheads right now is because the pacifist didn't come into this discussion, and nobody agrees with me on it, and that's fine.
The what?
And this will be discussed more in the episode of Cult of the Clocktower that I'll be appearing on.
The what?
It's whenever.
The what?
It's a podcast. It's probably the second best But on the Clocktower podcast.
Behind the World Cup one? Yeah.
And so there's Legacy. That was a good one. That was a good short series. I think you putting it in C tier is that's brutal. It's brutal and unkind, uncalled for. Capelli put Pacifist in C tier when he was doing his re-rank.
Oh.
Really? How did I miss that? Man, I really just don't pay attention to anything that Capelli says.
As soon as you started saying it. Oh, dear.
I already thought maybe the juggler was a little bit better than C. So I'll say, you know what, Cap? I'm with you. The juggler is no C.
Unfortunately, we've already stopped the recording. Stopped the stream. So people will never
Where
see
is it,
that.
Tyler? Where would you put it?
It's probably a B.
No, it's never.
It's very situational.
So if
you
you
might
had
get
to,
me up
The
to
fact that you won't even
E
consider
plus.
other people's worldviews and perspectives, Adam,
I'm
just
the only one
shows
that
why
has so
you're
far.
so close-minded.
I'm the only one that did so far, Kappas. But I don't know. What would you remove out of B then from our list to put it in B
geez.
instead? What would you drop down?
Pacifist.
C.
Done.
You won't get us to agree.
You've
to
got
that.
Sailor twice, so I'm not sure where Sailor fits.
I've
I
actually
would
got Sailor
rather-
3 times on this list.
Yeah, you
Jimmy,
do.
Big
Yeah.
old John G running the Sailor.
Twice in
Oh,
B.
it's an S now.
Sailor, I would say it's above Sailor for sure. But I bumped down. I would rather be a professor over a juggler. I would rather be a juggler over a sage any day of the week.
Really?
I think I would juggler or gambler, but I would compare them very closely. It would definitely bump down pacifist. Lots of things you could do here. Lots of things.
So where did you actually want juggler to be, Cap?
A.
No.
No.
As a Canadian would say.
Adam would
A.
say, well, it's my stream and my tier list, so no.
It's not my stream, but I'm controlling it. So,
He does have the buttons in front of him.
Mhm.
yeah.
You've convinced me that it's at least a C plus, maybe a B minus.
There's no C plus. There's no C plus. It's C or it's B, and you gotta pick.
Oh, then it's C. Honestly, then it's C.
Out of all 8 characters, I don't think I've convinced Hayley on a single one of them. I have convinced Adam more than the rest of y'all, and I think only one more than what I convinced on Tyler.